so-called leadership of Benjamin Netanyahu. When the history of the decline of Israel is written, Benjamin Netanyahu will be the man who destroyed Israel singularly. He's the man who made it happen. There was a time back when Yitzhak Rabin was the prime minister where Israel was divided, where you still had right-wing Likudniks like Netanyahu who said there will never be a Palestinian state. But there were a number of people in labor who said there's an absolute necessity for it. And labor was prevailing. And then Netanyahu orchestrated the assassination of Yitzhak Rabin by encouraging Talmudic rabbis to give voice to the need to kill a man that has been singled out as an enemy of the Hebrew people, encouraging right-wing Talmudic students to pull the trigger on the gun that killed Yitzhak Rabin. Netanyahu pulled that trigger, not physically, but rhetorically, and now Israel's paying the price. They've never been weaker, and they've never been more isolated, and it's all because of Benjamin Netanyahu. The Iranians shot down a Global Hawk drone worth over $100 million. And Donald Trump was enraged, and he said we need to strike the Iranian air defense sites that took down the Global Hawk. The Pentagon at that time told him, if you do this, and we can do this, you're going to set in motion a cycle of escalation that will end with Iran destroying every single one of our bases. There's nothing we can do to stop them, and shutting down the Strait of Hormuz and disrupting global oil supplies, bringing down an absolute collapse of the global economy. Then you're going to order us to invade Iran. We can't do that right now. It would take us at a minimum months, probably years, to assemble the forces necessary to carry out the action you're talking about. And even then, there's no guarantee of victory. Are you sure you want to do this, Mr. President? And he said, no. That same calculus exists today. Joe Biden's been briefed on this reality. If Kamala Harris becomes president, she will be briefed on it. Donald Trump's already familiar with it. We cannot defeat Iran in a conventional fight. And here's the game changer. I don't know if you saw it this morning, but the IRGC came out with a press release that basically said, we know that the supreme leader has said that nuclear weapons are anathema to the Islamic faith, but the Islamic faith allows things to change over time if a threat manifests itself to the Islamic people, to the Islamic Republic. And if this threat does manifest itself, Iran will reconsider its stance on nuclear weapons. Iran is literally days away from being able to produce nuclear weapon. If the United States wants to play nuclear games, if Israel wants to play nuclear games, Iran is ready to play that game. And this changes everything, because no longer can Israel say, we can nuke you, you can't nuke us. I believe that Iran has put all the pieces together, and that it will be a matter of days before they have a functioning nuclear device capable of being mounted on a missile that cannot be shot down, and that missile can be fired against Israel or against American targets in the region. This is a game changer. The day of the United States intimidating Iran is over, past, finished. And the same thing with Israel. Israel can be wiped out tomorrow. Iran is prepared to fire 2,000 missiles against Israel in a span of time encompassing just a few hours. These missiles would destroy the entire infrastructure of Israel. I'm talking about every power plant, every water purification plant. Anything that deals with modern civilized society will be eliminated because it can't be defended, and there's nothing Israel has to fall back upon. They will literally be put back into the Stone Age, and that's not using nuclear weapons. 3 to 5 nuclear weapons takes Israel off the face of the earth. There will be no Israel. That's the reality of Israel today. That's the weakness that Benjamin Netanyahu has brought upon the Israeli state and the Israeli people. The event took place around 10 kilometers or 10 miles below ground. There's no oil drilling that goes that deep. I think the deepest oil is 7.7 miles. This is about digging a borehole down for the test of a nuclear device 10 miles below ground. It's not. And then the other thing is, the International Atomic Energy Agency maintains a very close watch on Iran's nuclear stockpile, basically the stockpile of its enriched uranium. Iran has enriched enough 60% uranium and has it stockpiled that could be readily converted into the 98% needed for a nuclear device. But any diversion of this material away would be detected. And for Iran to have a secret enrichment capability, that would have been detected. So until the IAEA talks about not being allowed to account or has detected diversion, by then it's too late because the bomb will exist. I don't believe Iran has actually tested a nuclear device. The Russian-Iran Defense Pact will harden Iran to any potential Israeli strike. Understand this: the striking Iran is a very difficult proposition for the Israelis. Their aircraft, in order to have the range to reach Iran, will require one or more refuelings. So refuelings have to take place over territories such as Iraq, that is not guaranteed to be friendly to the Israelis. If the Iranians, for instance, get the Su-35s or the Su-32 fighters, and they're able to fly patrols into Iraq to shoot down the refuelers, there can be no attack. Plus, the attack profile that's being planned by the Israelis is based upon existing Iranian defensive capabilities, S-300 missiles and Iranian indigenous equivalents. The S-400 is a game changer. It doesn't mean it can't be defeated, but it means that Israel has to rethink its entire attack strategies, how it's going to approach, what preparatory work is going to be done, things of that nature, which means Israel right now has to redo all of their attack plans because of what Russia has done. And it's only going to become more difficult for Israel to plan to attack Iran, because I think this Russian-Iranian defense pact is not going to be about, giving a little bit of defense. I think it's going to be about making Iran as strong as possible to repel any Israeli and American attacks. China, has a huge interest in not just commercial relations with Iran, but stability in the Middle East, so China can have viable commercial relations with Iran's neighbors, with Saudi Arabia, who's the largest seller of oil to China, to the United Arab Emirates, to Iraq, to the entire region. China is a nation that's built its global presence based upon the economy, not its military. And so there's a huge vested interest in China in maintaining stability in the region. And this is one of the reasons why they brokered last spring the rapprochement between Iran and Saudi Arabia. China is working, trust me, behind the scenes very hard to try and get all sides to stand down. I think one of the great Chinese successes that's being unheralded is the fact that they got all the Gulf Arab nations surrounding Iran to say they are neutral in this, that the United States will not be allowed to use the bases in the region to assist Israel in any offensive operations against Iran. I don't think they were duped, because the United States is fully cognizant of everything Israel plans to do, wants to do, is doing, will do. There's an intimacy between Israel and the United States that make it impossible for Israel, whether formally or informally, to keep America out of the loop. We know everything. We knew about the pagers. We knew about everything. We know about everything. I can guarantee you that the NSA and other American, the CIA, were involved in this. The same with Stuxnet, the virus that was used, that was jointly developed by the United States and Israel. We had the Israelis build a test facility in the Negev desert where they replicated the Iranian centrifuges so that we could test the effectiveness of this virus. We know everything. There is no gap between Israel and the United States on this.
Okay. Back to where you were